Hello.
Hi, just a minute. I'm sorry. Wasn't sure if everything was all set up. Hi, just want to make sure this is recording. All right. I'm Matthew Blanchette. I'm here with Maurice LaMarche, one of the stars of Murder Anyone, directed by Jason Bressak, based on Gordon Bressack's play.
Yes, James Cullen Bressack.
James Cullen Bressack.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right.
So, you've got. I can't do your storied career justice on my, So let's just say, I'll just put it simply, you're a legend.
I
Uh,
can't do it justice. I wish I was as good as as everybody thinks I am. I'm just a lucky day player, lucky actor who showed up uh, most of the time on time, but certainly was nice to work with, and that's kind of the big key. And got to, just I got into the fun of playing so many different characters and doing so many different voices.
yeah,
So I just look at myself as extremely lucky. Um, and another way that I see great luck is that James Bressack saw fit to cast me in a part that Gordon, my dear friend, uh, wrote around himself and yet didn't write himself. He didn't want to play the part. But, it's the story of two writers who are struggling to pound out a play. One of them thinks it's a play. The other one knows it's a screenplay. And you've seen the picture. You know what from
I
whence
have.
it emanates.
Yeah.
It's the creative struggle, put on screen for uh, genre fans and comedy fans and people who write and people who don't write to kind of get an insight into it. And Gordon was an amazing writer. He won 3 Emmys for his work on Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain. He was a dear friend, and we got to know each other there because, for those of your listeners that may not know, I played the brain on Pinky and the Brain. You may not be able to tell because I don't talk like that all the time. But when I'm trying to take over the world, I do manage to slip into this voice.
W-
Yes.
was Rob Paulson involved in this initially, or was he ever, or was it just you?
I think, no, it was just me. I don't know if James ever thought of casting Rob as the other writer. I think he wanted Charlie because Charles M. Howell IV was Gordon's real life writing partner. And were when we were wrapped on Pinky and the Brain, I had a friend who told me he was taking Meisner. He was studying Meisner. He said, "There's a guy in my class who says he used to work with you, a guy named Charles M. Howell IV." And I said, "Charlie?" And I called Charlie. I said, "You're taking Meisner?" He goes, "Yeah, I still want to write and I'm still going to write, but I want to expand my horizons as an actor or expand my horizons and become an actor." And I think he did a fantastic job in the film because he was playing himself and not playing himself. He played a more extreme version of himself. And he and Gordon, as all writing teams do, had their little back and forths, but never got quite to the point that it does in this movie.
Did it feel I guess, did it feel like an honor stepping into Gordon's shoes in this? Let's
Very
put it
much
that way.
so. I mean, I have known James Cullen Bressack since he was 4 years old. Since and I'm one of 7 or 8 people on the planet who get to call him Jimmy. But because I've known him since he was just a little guy. Um, and I don't know if he had anybody else ever in mind for that part. I think he saw it as a sort of completion, as it were. Gordon and I were the dearest of friends, and even physically resemble each other a little bit. But this was, hang on 1 second. Just want to make sure my gate isn't open because my dog just slipped
Oh,
out. But yeah, we're
sorry.
good. No, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Good, 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 good.
Gates
Uh,
closed.
huh?
Gates
The gate is
closed.
closed. He's
Okay.
good.
All right.
Yes. I was just going out to get himself a little sun. Um, so I really felt honored. I wish I could have that honor with Gordon still with us.
Yeah.
But to carry on his work, I saw. I mean, I saw all 3 of Gordon's plays on opening nights, and I saw this one on its opening night, and it's a really good play. But I think as a film, it works even better because those transitions, when you do it, especially if you do it in a lower budget kind of theater, you've got actors jumping behind couches as things go back to normal and we meet the writers. So foreground, background kind of a thing. As a film, cut, 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 and you know that comedy must move fast. So this allowed the comedy to move really fast, and it was a joy. And
I
the result,
loved I loved that it started in a black box, and then as you progress and as it becomes more film influence, you get first this cabin, and then you get a different cabin, and then you get all of these extra characters that come in. It's
yeah,
beautifully structured. I loved it. I
yes,
loved that.
yes. And then I think we bounced back to the black box once or twice because Charlie wants to write this small black box play where he's got all the control because in the theater the writer is king. In film, the writer takes his check and f's off, and they don't really want to hear from him again. So, I just found it really well done as a film. We shot it in this mansion way the heck out there in not quite well, anyway, I'm not going to turn into a sketch from the Californians. I'll tell you
It's all right.
where on the 118, but it was quite a piece away. It was a huge old house, and so our little office was downstairs, but the room where they shot all the stuff for the characters of our imagination who change, as you know. That's part of the hilarity
Right.
thing, is that we just keep rewriting them and they keep changing, so obeying our commands, as it were.
It's
And
it's a bit Pirandello, I guess.
yeah, yeah. So it was really fun to shoot. We're in noir, and I love that.
Mm.
And what we create is in
That-
living color.
It was absolutely beautiful. I especially love the sessions with you and Charles. I guess in the basement, doing all the plugging away at all the hard work. It was just gorgeously shot.
Thank you. Well, I thank you. I shot it myself. James just stood
Well,
by while I said, "Put the camera over there, James." James
but
is an amazing director. I mean, it was the funnest, happiest set I've ever been on, and there would have been every reason for it to be a tense set because James financed this picture himself. The labor of love from a son to a father, and so you're if you're jerking around, you're wasting one man's money and one young man's money.
yeah,
And I know James is doing well, but not throw away an entire film budget well. So we were sure to be on mark, had know our lines, take it seriously, and yet have a tremendous amount of fun. There was so much joy and laughter and comedy on the set between takes. James runs the funnest set I've ever been on.
was it just? Did it feel very familial in that way? Very, very much like
It,
a family.
it really did. It really did. And I had to restrain myself from calling him Jimmy because, as I said, he to me is the grown up version of a little kid. I met when we were still doing Pinky and the Brain, and to everybody else, he's James. He's the captain. It all stops with him. So I needed to be very mindful and respectful of that. So and yet he's like one of the family to me. He's a nephew.
Things. The phrase about "there's always a spider a couple of inches away from you." Was that something that Gordon actually said, and that you said for him, I guess, or was it just in the play? And
Well, it's apparently it's a scientific fact, and Gordon loved little bits of trivia like that. I think Gordon had I wouldn't say he's a fatalist, but he was certainly a realist. He wasn't a religious man in any way, shape, or form, and yet he believed. He gave me a book called The Physics of Immortality, and he didn't believe this was it in the strictest sense, but he was a guy who was a thinker, and I think that philosophy of you're never more than 6 feet away from a spider. The world isn't as safe a place as you think it is.
hmm,
You know,
there's
really,
something. The best writers, I think, always are sort of philosophers in their way.
yes, yes,
Yes,
and
always.
Yeah, and he was great fun to be around. I mean, there was always laughter, and yet we were, we shared a certain cynicism, which I think was what made us bond. You know,
But hopefully a certain sense of joy in the cynicism. You know what I
very
mean?
much.
That's
I mean, he took great joy in the moment. He took great joy in any time we could find laughter and humor, and I think that's why he liked hanging out with me because I don't ski, I don't kayak, I don't do my sport, my fun. The way I get joy out of life is by always finding the laugh in any given moment. Always looking for where's the ha-ha here.
I feel like, yeah, that's been your career. I mean, for better or for worse, for the best jobs or for the jobs that might have just paid crap, you know? I mean, I know rather recently you were involved with the I think it was the Futurama not a reboot, but a continuation.
Yeah, yeah, we are uh, putting the finishing touches on the first 10. We recorded episode 20. Pardon me while I make a little cup of tea for myself as
Take your
we
time.
this is my future. So funny you would bring it up. Um, but it's time for my afternoon spot of tea now. But yeah, I was we just recorded episode 20, the final episode of the first half of our order. There's an option for a second half, second 20, which God knows we've all got our fingers and every other body part crossed. Especially me who bought a house in the pandemic. So
Oh, yeah,
yes, so it's
I know.
I would love for it to continue on. But if it doesn't, this 20 is amazing. When you see it, you're going to go, wow, I mean, they didn't miss a beat. It's Futurama. It's not like some, nobody felt like they had to make it more angular or make the characters pointier or exaggerate the overbite or any of that.
Yeah.
It's just more
Did you get to record together or was it all separate?
mostly together because of the COVID rules and the Screen Actors Guild
Hmm.
having guidelines that they're making the union studios follow. We had to be isolated in separate rooms, but the studio where we record, LA Studios, has a large studio A that has three three compartments that are sliding glass door
Hmm.
protected. So, because they record some music there. So the three ISO booths in the main booth and two actors, if they're more than 6 feet apart, can be in that. So we at one time had all the five actors who were working that day recording off of each other. Now, when we recorded back in pre-COVID, it would just be a horseshoe of 8 actors. And
Hmm.
didn't have a scene, you stepped out, went to the kitchen, got yourself a coffee, whatever, and we took the whole day to do it. But this was as good as it gets in these COVID times to
Hmm. Hmm.
get to work off of each other. Disenchantment, Matt's other show, we
Yeah.
did almost exclusively out of home studios for the last two seasons, 4 and 5.
Did it feel a little disconnected by comparison because you weren't
Unfortunately,
bouncing
yes,
off? Uh,
it did. We would sometimes see the people we were working with on Zoom, but most of the stuff was picked up isolated in our home studios. It wasn't as much fun, but Matt is so into Disenchantment. He was there co-directing every episode, and he always has brilliant ideas. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, he just makes every scene better when he, just types a little, DM to you in the Zoom, or walks over to you with a note written in that famous Matt Groening handwriting. Say this, and just say this at the end, not telling anybody else. So we could all gauge how funny it was. But that's how we came up with the name Big Joe for the
Yeah.
Exorcist character. He didn't have a name; he was just the Exorcist. He had to be a note. Say, I am Big Joe. So at the end, in that Max von Sydow voice, I am Big Joe. Busted the room up, and of course we needed to do another take.
It's
So
sort of tying back into. I'm not sure how much time I have left here. I do apologize. Um, but tying back into Murder Anyone, I you sort of worked on a legacy project from a father to a son with noir sort of filmic style in the past. You worked on David Fincher's
Yes,
Yes,
good. I did. Not a
Mank,
lot of
which
people
was
know
written
that.
by Jack Fincher, his father.
Yes.
So
Yep.
was that, was that not quite, maybe obviously not the same sort of personal importance to you, but did it feel sort of similarly, sort of?
Look, it only because Gordon was so, I was so close to Gordon. This was a little bit more close to my heart, but I was very aware that I was helping David bring to life something that was very important to him, the script his father had written. And we had an hour and a half meeting long before they really began shooting, and just really talked about that relationship. And it was really special to meet him and to take it, I mean, kind of take me in and trust me with this and confidence
Yeah,
that he had in me to do this. He knew me, he knew my work from narrating that wonderful episode of Love, Death, and Robots when the yogurt took over.
mhm.
And so what I did for David and for the film was I recorded every episode, every line of Wells's dialogue in a recording studio. And somehow they blended that with Tom's voice, the actor playing Wells on screen. Sometimes it's him, sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's down to the word, but they can do that now with this kind of, and they might have programmed a little bit of my voice into an AI thing. So, yeah, it was very much a legacy. I'm lucky to be trusted with so many things. If you go see David Copperfield's show in Las Vegas ever, there's a
Mhm.
sequence where we hear his father in flashback, in a letter that David is reading, and David trusted me to be the voice of his father. He sent me to a YouTube link of his father on Oprah, and I adapted and read this letter in David Copperfield's dad's voice. And then 3 years later, I finally get to go see the show after COVID is
Mhm.
over adjacent, and I'd forgotten, just what I had done. So it touched me. Very touching little moment in his show.
That's
At
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And might have to wrap up here, but I just a couple of months ago, you were at a convention in Rhode Island with Rob Paulson.
Yes.
I
Getting to
was
go
the
back this year too.
Oh, that's lovely. I was there. I asked Rob about something he had done on his podcast with Kevin Conroy, and this was right before Kevin had passed.
Mhm.
This was like the week before.
Yeah, we didn't
So
know.
I just no, yeah. I was, if you could tell him for me, I was really, it was really touching. It was really important, I guess, to hear that story. Even,
Yeah. Kevin was a beautiful guy, and
I
he's
I I met him as well. I met him as
yeah,
well. I remember him saying he always wanted to play Hal,
really. I did
Shakespeare's
not.
Hal. He did. He told me that was Hamlet was his way into Batman, obviously, but he had always wanted to do the Henry place.
Wow. Understood. That's understandable. But gosh, we've all got something we leave undone, isn't there? Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
But he
But
was
he's
incredible. He was incredible, and so
an
are
incredibly
you,
kind
frankly.
man and such a very deep thinking actor. I loved Kevin and got to work with him many times.
I would hope most actors are, deep
Yeah.
thinkers.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Deep
absolutely,
viewers.
I absolutely adored Murder Anyone. I think it's coming
Good.
out February 3rd,
7th.
7th. Oh, thank you,
February
thank you.
7th on many of the streamers, and order it up. It's like it murder comma anyone question mark. Yeah, it's because it's otherwise it sounds like an indiscriminate serial killer.
Right.
I'll just murder anyone. Murder anyone, and it's a lot of fun. It's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
know it's a labor of love, and it's you can tell, and I absolutely just adored watching it. Just all the art and the ingenuity that went into it.
Yeah, truly, truly. James is an amazingly talented guy, and we had our fellow actors in that were just great. Christos and Galadriel,
Right.
uh, and Spencer, is hilarious in it.
I
And
was very glad to see. I was very glad to see Spencer there as well.
yeah, and Carla Collins was hilarious as the psychic. And it was just really a real labor of love, and it comes off.
Yeah, it does. I hope more people see the love that came into it, that went into it when it goes in streaming. And
Yes.
even though I've got a screener, I'll be very happy. I'll be very privileged to buy a copy myself.
Oh, well, thanks. We
Just,
appreciate that.
it's the little independent films. They always need help.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's been an absolute honor to just, speak with you about this film.
Well, thank you, Matt. The honor's mine. It's been nice to talk to you.
Same here.
All right.
And I'm not as brilliant as the other Matt, but
Matt Perry? Matt
Greening.
LeBlanc? No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
I know.
No. I love me all my Matts. So you're on the list.
I hope so.
All right.
So thank you so much. I really, 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 it's absolute pleasure, absolute privilege.
Pleasure for
So
me too, Matt.
thank you so much. You have an absolutely
Thanks for having
wonderful
me
evening.
on.
Take care. Let me just make sure I got this properly.